All right. Truly, the real you loves you because the real you is love. Well, good day and welcome to another session in Truly Foundation and A Course in Miracle. My name is Oliver Blue, and I'm delighted to be your host, your guide, your guru, your coach for today as we take but another look at another workbook lessons out of our guidebook, out of our course book called A Course in Miracles. And I'm so delighted to be here and that you are here. And I just commend those that are still on this journey of mind training, on this journey of transformation, on this journey of renewing the mind. We're on lesson 237, day 237, but we've actually been here probably more like 260 days. And we started this journey back January 10th, I believe, where we dedicated one whole year to working on our minds, changing our perception, really researching and inquiring and looking into the way we think about ourselves, really looking at our thoughts, looking at our self-image, how we see ourselves, how we feel, what we felt about ourselves. And we want to engage in this miracle that is promised us at the end of this process, that we will have a whole new perception about ourselves, a whole new awareness and consciousness about God's opinion, God's perception, God's understanding, God's purpose for our life. And that the best way to approach that is to really concentrate on the mind and what the mind is doing, how the mind is thinking, because we have come to understand that all our life is lived through our mind. It's not necessarily lived through the body, but it is through the mind. The body is just a faithful servant that will carry out the mind's ideas, the mind's thoughts. And so to spend a whole year on the mind is to spend a whole year on the source, on the cause. And ultimately it would change the effects in our life. And so here we are over halfway through this journey, and I can speak for myself that I am more peaceful, I am more loving, I am more aware of the reality of my true self, the joy, like the song said here, the real you. I'm more familiar with my true self. I'm more comfortable in my own skin. I have embraced a different perception of the world. I have embraced a different function and reason for me being here. It has brought so much joy and peace into my life. I have a greater understanding of what I would call that which is real and that which is not. And hopefully this is the effect or the impact that it's having on you if you're really giving yourself to these workbook lessons, if you're really giving yourself over to these ideas that I know a lot of them are startling, a lot of them kind of are opposed to the way we thought or opposed to the ideas that we held dear. And I have come to the conclusion that until we're willing to give up that which doesn't serve us, that we will continue to get the same results. We'll continue to have the same amount of confidence. We'll continue to have the same amount of peace that we've always had. And if you're not satisfied with that, if you're discontent with yourself, if you've been discontent with your peace, if you've been discontent with the world, if you've been discontent at all, this is a way to change that. It's not just going to change because we desire it to change. It changes because what? We take responsibility for our life. Like on the lesson yesterday, we take responsibility for our minds, that we rule our minds, and we alone rule our mind. That's our responsibility. So if this sounds like something that interests you, then just start today. Join us each and every day. We're on my YouTube channel, Truly Foundation. You can find us. All of these recordings are there. I record one lesson a day. You can find them there and watch as a replay. You can go all the way back to the beginning, or you can catch me live each day. But, I'm not recording these at any particular time, so you'd have to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification, and that way you'll know when I'm coming on live. If you like the live, if you like it live, But anyway, today we're going to look at workbook lesson 237. And again, we are in part 2 of this 1-year journey. The way this course is set up is there's a part 1 and a part 2. Part 1 had to do with investigating the way that we seeing, the way that we perceived ourselves, the way that we thought, the way that we currently were, and realized that which we perceived ourselves to be, or perceived the world to be, or perceived God to be, or each other, was not serving our greater purpose. And so by letting that go, it's called the undoing. That's the first part of this lesson, where we made a choice to undo. Just that simple. And we spent over 200 days in the practice of practicing letting go of the way that we perceived ourselves, and the way that we perceived the world, the way that we perceived our Creator. And now we're in part 2, where we're going to spend the last 160 some days in what it called welcoming and embracing true perception. That real you that loves you, that the song said, coming to know our true self as one with all living things, one with our Creator. And from that point of view, peace, happiness, joy, contentment, fulfillment, creativity, all of the virtues that are good, that are loving, begin to be a part of our daily thinking, our daily perception. And so this last part 2, is all about seeing who we really are and embracing that, and in welcoming that, and beginning to allow that to shine forth in every area of our life, in every encounter. That we understand that we don't go out looking for these virtues, but that these virtues are a part of our essence, a part of our nature. We are love. We were born of love. We are peace. All these aspects, happiness, joy, peace. People talk about all the time, living my best life, being my best expression. Well, your best life is your awareness of your true self, the real you, which is love, which is connected and share with all living things. That's your best life. And then that can be expressed in a uniqueness that only you can bring, and a aliveness and a radiance that only you can bring. And so today's idea, workbook lesson 237 says, now, present, now, in this now moment, in this holy instant, would I be as God created me? Not in the future, not in the past, but in this now moment, today, in this holy instant, would I be? This is a decision that I'm making. Would I be? So this is about our beingness. This is not about doing. This is about being. See, doing is being more so than being is doing. I'm going to say that again. Being is doing more so than doing is being. And so I would be as God created me. Now, in this moment, without giving any considerations to the past, without having any anxiety about the future, I have made a irrevocable quality decision that now, in this instant, today, now, I would be as God created me. That is a declaration. That is a freedom that you have chosen to be your true self, the real you. The real you that loves you. Because the real you is love. That is the truth about all of us. Regardless of what our history has been, regardless of what we have been conditioned or taught, the reality of our being is love. And so today we make a declaration that we will be that which we are, and no longer be led around by a false idea of who we are, of what we are. No longer be subject to this world's conditioning, this world labeling of us. No longer be limited to a body identification, to a race, to a gender, to a political thought or a national thought. But we are free to be what God created us now. So the question would be, how did God create us? And that's a great question. And if you're waiting on the answer is God created us like unto its very own self. In fact, in creation, unlike in this space of time and form, where things are made and produced from form, and God created us before there was any form or formation or time, before there was any physical substance. In his image and his likeness. What is God? God is what? God is the what? God is the reality, the source of all things. God is awareness. God is consciousness. God is aliveness. God is infinite and eternal. God is oneness. God is the source of all things. So God created us like and in of himself, of itself. I don't like to say him or her because God is not a gender. God is not a male nor female. God is not a body. God is not matter. God is the source of all that there can ever be experienced, but God is not the experience. God is the source, the ultimate source of all living things. And God created the one thing, which is life. And he called that life I, or I am, which is who we are. And so today we will be as that, because that's how God created us. And we remain as God created us. Not as temporal beings, not as limited beings, not as, beings that has a beginning and an end, beings that are born to die. God did not create us in scarcity, nor did God create us in loss and separation and death. That's not a part of who we really are. That is just an experience that we are aware of. And so today, with this idea that I be as God created me. So today, I will accept the truth about myself. This is our idea. This is our thought for today. Make it your thought for today. I will accept the truth about myself. Not the truth that I made up, not knowing who I was, not the truth that the thought system of the world labeled me to be, but the truth. I will accept the truth about myself, that I remain as God created me. Paul picked up on it in Ephesians in the Bible and said that before the foundation of the world, notice that our creation happened before the foundation of the world. Even in the creation story, it says that God made or created man in his own image, his own likeness, before there was any form, there was any body. Now, that was later on in the story where he took and formed and made a body. But what God created prior to a body was he called man. Man meaning spirit. Man meaning like him, being infinite and impersonal, meaning that there was only one self that we all share. God extended himself. God looked at himself, self-aware of himself, and say, I am that, I am, and extended that. And voila, that is what we're part of, that oneness, that one self. And so today, I will accept the truth about myself. This is our thoughts for today. I will accept the truth about myself. I will arise in glory. In other words, I'm just going to start my day in the glory that has been given unto me in creation, has been given to all of us in creation. Glory has to do with the highest expression of an idea, the highest expression. In form, in this world, glory would be like, the sun if you look at the sun at midday, it's when it's in its highest expression, its highest demonstration of the brightness that it is. The glory of the sun is shining. The glory of the moon is the light that it provides. The glory of the ocean is its depth, its endless depth, and its endless breadth. The glory of anything is when it is expressing itself in its fullest display. And so it said, I will arise in glory. In Ephesians chapter 1, Paul picked up on it and said, before the foundation of the world, that it was already determined that the glory of humanity would be holy, that we would be holy and without blame before God in love, having predetermined who we are, what we would be. That's the glory. And the glory comes from the essence of a thing. So us arising in our fullest glory is arising with the idea that I will accept the truth about myself, that I remain as God created me, that I'm holy and without blame, that I'm guiltless, that I'm sinless, that I'm innocent, that I'm eternal, that I'm infinite, that I'm impersonal and self-aware, that I'm just like my Father. When you see me, you see the Father. When I and the Father are one, that means that what? The glory of God is the glory of who we are. In other words, Paul said it over in Ephesians 1 again, that what we are to the praise of God's glory. In other words, God gets no glory separate and apart from you. And so it is God's will, number one will for our happiness. It's God's number one will for our true expression, our feeling, our true freedom, our complete peace and joy and happiness. That is the will of God for all of us. Because that is when we are in what? We are in full display of our glory. Paul said it, that we go from glory to glory, to glory to glory. In other words, we go from awareness and consciousness of who we are, which is endless, to more awareness of who we are, the love that we are, the life that we share. So we arise with that. We arise with that in our minds. It says, and we allow the light in me, or we allow the light in us to shine upon the world throughout the day. This is an attitude. This is a way of being that we have decided based on an awareness of who we really are. And you know, like I know, first thing in the morning when one gets up, the mind starts what? The mind starts clicking. The mind wants to start thinking. The mind wants to, start introducing ideas that really pulls us down. And it's usually involved what? Something in the past or having anxiety about the future. But as we learned on yesterday, that we have to become the rulers of our mind, the rulers of our kingdom. And so the best way to do that is to give ourselves over to God. First thing that should happen when we arise, we give our thoughts, we give our mind, allow the Spirit of God, what we call the Holy Spirit, to what? Choose for God for us. Because that voice, that spirit that speaks for God that's in all of us knows best. But it's a decision that we have to make every day to arise in glory and allow the light in us to shine upon the world throughout the day. And so we bring the world the tidings, the good news. Tidings are good news. We bring the world the agenda for today. We bring the world we bring those around us, our relationships. We come in with this idea that we have accepted the truth. And we display this glory, this happiness, this joy and peace that we are, regardless of what's going on in the outside world. Most people are driven by the conditions of the world, what's in my bank account, how my child may be relating to me, or, what's going on in the stock market, or, what's going on in my significant relationships. We allow those things when we're not proactive like this. We allow those things to determine our attitude and our joy and peace for the day. To turn our glory way down low. Turn our happiness way down low. Those things will do that if you give them permission and authority to do it. But we bring the world the tidings of salvation, the tidings of happiness, which we hear as God, our Father, speaks to us. And God is always speaking. The voice that speaks for God, the voice that speaks for our true self is always speaking, but it doesn't speak loud. And it doesn't speak first. So as we abide in a time of meditation in the morning, at a time of quietness in the morning and stillness, we embrace this idea. We invite this idea. We invite our Creator. We invite ourselves to commune and to fellowship with this thought of God. That I remain as God created me. That I will be as God created me. And that I will accept the truth about myself today, now. So we're being deliberate. We're being intentional about our day. You have to be. It requires a level of discipline. We can't just jump up and then, go out into the day and see what happens. No, that is a life of default. We're talking about living a life of design and intention. But we intend to be who we are and not allow the world to define us or to determine the level of glory that we walk in today. No, we make that determination. We're in charge of our mind. We're in charge of our kingdom. We're the director of our life. We've been given authority to subdue life. And we exercise our authority today. We're no longer along for the ride, but we're purposeful about what our day will be like. And so we sit quiet and still, and we allow this idea that now would I be as God created me to saturate our thoughts, to be impressed upon our conscious and subconscious, to the point that our bodies receive the instruction to be in your full glory, to be in your full display of love and peace and joy. And we behold the world that Christ would have us see. Christ, meaning oneness, would have us see. We're no longer looking through the eyes of the ego, looking at the world from a point of view of separation, but from God's point of view, which is oneness. And so we would behold a world that Christ would have us see, aware that it ends the bitter dream of death, aware it is our Father's call to us. So we no longer look through the eyes of sin consciousness, guilt, and fear, and scarcity, and death, but we look through reality of oneness. We look through the reality, the lens of love, the lens of the oneness that we share, the truth about who we really are, the knowledge of our true self, the real you that loves you, because the real you is love. Accepting the idea that we are born of God. We are born of love. We are filled with the glory of God. That we are the radiant beauty that God is. We are the glory of God. Yes, we are humanity. And so we take this reality, we take this attitude into our day, into every relationship, into everywhere we go. And we share it. We share it in everything that we do. That's a great idea. That's a grand idea. It's a God idea. It's a thought of God. This is the attitude we should walk in. This is what a lot of people refer to as a walk in the Spirit, or a walk in God, or a walk in our reality. When we no longer see inequality, where we no longer see separation and differences, but we only see our oneness. So I'm going to end today's lesson with this prayer that it's just an affirmation of the idea for today. It's the way that we can commune and welcome this communion with ourselves, our true self, this communion with our Creator, this communion with all humanity and all living things. It's a way for us to do it. Just through this simple idea. And remember, we have said that words like God and oneness and love and Christ, these are all synonymous words. They all mean the same thing in reality. Source. It is the source. It is the cause of life. It's the foundation of life. Christ simply means oneness. All things have been put back into a place of oneness. All things have been reconciled unto the one thing. So that in reality, there is only the one thing. There's God is. And we're part of that God is. And so for the purpose of the Course and how it uses that term, they say that reconciliation results in what we call Christ, which is all of us. That's why Paul in the New Testament referred to all of us as being what? In Christ. In oneness, okay? That's what it means. It wasn't a reference to one person, but it was an acknowledgement that all of us share the same one person. It's called Christ. Called the kingdom, the family of God, the family of humanity. Let's not get hung up on words. It says, Christ is my eyes today. In other words, oneness is my eyes. I look through the eyes of oneness. Not that we're separate, but the fact that we are what? We are one. So Christ is the way I see today. So when I look upon another, I look upon myself. I look upon all humanity. That's a different point of view than what we've been trained. It says, Christ is my eyes today, and Christ, the ears that listen to the voice for God today. So my eyes and my seeing and my hearing comes through oneness. My seeing and my hearing comes through the truth about myself. It comes through the I that God created, that we all share. And I remain that way. It doesn't come through the hearing or the seeing of separation, but in oneness. So this is my point of view. I have located where I am. I am in the Father, and the Father is in me. I and you and me, we are one. So this is my seeing. This is my hearing. And so, Father just is an acknowledgement that we are all one in the same. The Father and the Son, there's only one. There's only one will. There's only one being. When we make that declaration, Father, It is an acceptance of the truth of who we are. It's an acceptance of your true self. It's not a statement of separation, but a statement of oneness. Father. That's why Jesus said, when you pray, say, our Father. See, our Father. What Father? One source, one God, one being, one life, one glory. I come to you through him who is your son. Who is him who is your son? The Christ. Our reconciliation is one. I come to you through oneness. This is what the statement is saying here. I come to you through the perception and the understanding of our oneness. And my true self, which is a part of that oneness as well. This is the way I come. This is what I welcome. This is what I will put on display. This is what I will be this day, this very moment. Now, I will arise in this glory. And we will put reality on full glory, on full display. This radiant aliveness that I am, this infinite beauty that I have received in creation, in all of us. I'm acknowledging that I have the mind of Christ in this moment. I would not yield to the ego thought system of this world anymore. But in this moment, in this day, in this hour, as I move out from this place, I move out in the full glory of my innocence. I move out in the full glory of my sinlessness. I move out in the full glory of my guiltlessness. I'm at peace. And I take this peace into the world. I take this peace into every activity that I participate in today. I take this peace in the presence of every other human that I engage in today. That's what it means to be the light of the world. Jesus said we are the light of the world. That's what it means. So now would I be as God created me and be no other way. I won't be a false self anymore. I will not practice a false self anymore. I won't practice being a separated self anymore. I will walk in the oneness that I am. And so I see my brother the same way that I am, because that is the truth. I see all humanity the same way that I am, because it's the truth, regardless of what all of the craziness that is happening. That none of that had ever brought anyone peace. And so I choose no longer to support that, but to support the reality of the truth about myself and all humanity and my Father. So that's why Jesus said, when you've seen me, you've seen the Father. Why? I put the full display of this reality, this glory. I walk in it moment by moment, holding no grievances, forgiving the world, forgiving myself. And it brings so much joy and peace and happiness and fulfillment and contentment. It does. So thank you so much. This is today's lesson. And now would I be as God created me. That is my and your reality. That's all humanity's reality. So go out in the world in peace today, and be of good courage, and hold fast to this reality, and render to no man evil. Support those that are weak, help those that are afflicted, and honor all men with the honor that comes from God only. Love and serve, rejoicing in the power of this oneness. How sweet it is to be loved by him. Thank you so much. Have a great day. We'll be back on tomorrow.